this is Lois DeWitt. If you saw my previous video on how to draw what you see, where we used this grid with plexiglass with lines drawn on it, and then we did a drawing, that is sort of the companion to this video here. What I'm going to do now that I've shown you how to draw with the grid is to take this drawing and just simply enhance the shadows. Now, in this particular case, I'm not looking at any still life. I'm just going to do it more or less out of my head. So I have to assign a kind of a light source, put the shadows on one side and the illumination on the other. Just to refresh your memory, that is the grid that I used. If you're not familiar with this method, I highly recommend that you look at that video. It will teach you how to see, which is a very, very valuable skill in drawing, painting, sculpting, just about any creative form. Now I'm going to be doing the shading just basically from my imagination. It's really quite simple to do this. Don't panic if you think you can't do it. You can. Already here I've assigned some shadows. So, but you can do the same. I have a pencil shading video, a circle to a sphere that would maybe be very helpful for you to start that kind of skill. It's just shading right from your imagination, and it's very effective. I have a nice graphite pencil here. It's called Nice Day Graphite. I'm not quite sure where I got it. I like it. It's an HB, which I think is nice. It's a little harder lead, but it gives a really nice tonal quality to the shading. So this pencil here can go from a very light gray to a dark gray to quite a dark gray, and I'll demonstrate that now. So I'm going to begin. I think I'll just start just about anywhere. Basically, what I want to do is just refine the shading that I put in very sketchily. So if you have a drawing that you like, that you did, and it is either not shaded or it's shaded just a little bit, you can go ahead and augment all of those shading gradations this way. I'm going to be working all over this whole drawing, but I think what I'm going to do now, because this lead is fairly soft, I'm going to just take a piece of copy paper and shield some of the drawing so that if I rest my hand on the drawing, it doesn't have lines that might not quite maybe they're too coarse, maybe they're not quite in the right place. I can get rid of these now and then just redo it. The shape is there, so maybe I just want to refine it a bit. And I'm taking the erasure off with a brush because I don't want to use my hand, because this pencil, it's graphite, will tend to smear. So I can redo this now in a lighter line. And then I have the option, and this is the way the whole drawing is going to work. When you're shading, you're either going to be shading on one side or the other. And so I have to make a choice. Is the fold here going to be light, or is it going to be dark? There's a shadow down here, but I'm thinking if the light is coming from this angle, I'm going to have to make the background dark. So that's what I'm going to be shading in right now. To show you my progress here. What I've done so far is to do the background, do the table, and this is basically a kind of just a medium gray. And then I'm going to do this part, this cloth part here. I'm working on that now, and I'm making a decision how round do I want it, and then the same with the fold, making these parts illuminated. And then with the onion, I have to really keep in mind that the skin has little ribs in it, so I have to kind of make that texture. And I'm just, you have to work pretty slowly at this kind of shading. My shading is pretty much multi-directional. The background is developing. This shading in here, what is it? I don't know. I really enjoy doing this kind of thing. I mean, it ends up sort of almost like ghostly shadows in a way. I love ghostly shadows. And as I'm doing this, and this is what you'll run into too when you do your drawing, you'll make decisions on what's going to be dark and what's going to be light. I mean, obviously, you know, pockets of shadow in the folds, well, that's easy. But then over here, I have to make a choice of, you know, here the table is white or illuminated, and then as I'm going here, it's going to be enveloped in shadow. On the second onion here, I'm putting in that same texture of the skin of the onion, just like I did over here, and I'm bringing in the shadows, keeping in mind that the illumination is going to be from this area here. So I'll complete that, and then I'll go into the sweet potato over here, and these folds. The original sketch, this was just white, and now it really looks like there is a shadow and there is a depth here between the two objects. So I think that's very effective. And I added some more texture to this onion because as I looked at it, I said, it needs to be a little more onion-like. So now I'm going to go on and do this sweet potato shape here, and then do the folds. And I think I will develop the shadow down here a little bit, and then I'll finish it right out to the frame. Is that oftentimes too, when I want to see how effective the shading is, I will turn the drawing around and work on it from another angle. Sometimes you need to, I find it's really helpful to remove myself from the image, and just so I can see the shadows and how effective they are. Turning it upside down gives me a really good opportunity to really look carefully at the shading to see if it's truly effective the way I want it to be. In this case, where I was going to have the light just coming from one angle, now I'm thinking that there's such a nice illuminating effect right here as well that I think I'm going to have light coming from another angle here as well. Can you do that? Yeah. You can have light from many different angles. Just depends on how you get inspired. The other thing is that as I was working down here in the shading, I've developed a shadow within a shadow. Well, I'm thinking that I'm just about done with this drawing. This has been a lot of fun. It's taken about 4 hours to do. It's just a fairly large drawing, and it's a lot of lines. What I'm going to do, what I usually end up doing at the very finish, is just going through again. I think I have a kind of halo of light here that I want to take down a little bit. And then I'm going to go into the dark areas and just enhance them a little bit more, make them a little more solid, and the shadows a little more dramatic. So I'm just going to put in some nice lighter lines right here, just to lessen that spot of light a little bit so it looks more like the background. To play the nice solid dark areas against all the other grays, that makes for a nice rich drawing. Pan in on my lines really quickly so you can see the line dynamic here, and just get an idea how I put those lines down. And so you try this and enjoy.